Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and if it's your first time joining us, thanks for coming along for the ride. Today I'm in something truly spectacular, and unlike normally, I'm not on a B road because I wanted to give this car, put it in its best position. So what we're in today is a 1998 E31 BMW 8 Series. Particular model is an 840Ci. So what that means is this is a Grand Tourer. So no better place to put a Grand Tourer than on the motorway, where it was built to get along. Now, the E31 BMW was first released in 1989 and was in production for 10 years, all the way up to 1999. And it was brought in to replace the E24 6 Series BMW that had been released or in production from the late 70s and early 80s. And if this car doesn't speak to the excess of the 80s, I don't know what does. When this car was first designed and released back in 1989, it came with a V12 engine. A 5-litre V12 engine was put into this thing, producing 300 odd brake horsepower. Now, over the years, they introduced some other engines, the 4-litre M60 and the 4.4-litre M62 V8, which is in this car. Just think about that, guys, right? The base engine for these cars were V8s, 4-litre V8 at the very minimum. And it just goes on to speak about how, or the era that this car was produced in. Because not only is this car, or the 8 Series version of this car, got fantastically large and frankly underpowered engines, certainly in comparison to today's cars, it just has such an air of grace to it, this car. The interior is lovely. It's got that classic BMW feel where everything sort of wraps around and it is focused on the driver more so than anybody else. And certainly one thing that it has in spades in comparison to my newer BMW X5 is just how refined it is. It's so quiet. There's not a single rattle or creak or squeak from anything. It is just incredibly quiet. It is a car that has clearly been built for cruising at these sorts of speeds, because unfortunately, despite looking like a performance car, this thing is not. They were never produced to have ridiculous amounts of speed. As I say, the V8s have got about 286 brake horsepower, which give them a 0 to 60 of about 7 seconds, which really, if you look at it, in a car that weighs just shy of 2 tons, that's quite a lot of weight to pull around, and most modern hot hatches will certainly feel faster than this. But where this car is supposed to be is on roads like this. It's supposed to be cruising on the Autobahn at 140 miles an hour, where those hot hatches, yeah, they might be able to get past 100 quick enough, but they certainly wouldn't be able to maintain that for any length of time. Whereas this car, you stick it in, get up to speed, and away you go. There is absolutely no effort involved in driving this thing, other than its sheer presence. You are consciously aware of just how large this thing is. You feel it through the steering. The steering's light, but it's not particularly precise. The Porsche, for example, feels heavier and a lot more precise, but it's not quite as comfortable as this. With the Porsche being a 996, there's rattles everywhere, it squeaks, and it's just a completely different caliber of car. This cost the owner, Marc. Thank you very much, Marc, for letting me out in your car today. It's a massive pleasure for not only getting to drive a dream car of mine. I've always wanted to experience one of these cars, but it's also the first time I've ever driven a V8. So yeah, thank you for letting me out in your car today. And if you ever do want the Porsche for an overnight, you're more than welcome to it. Now, this car, as I was saying, it's not built to be anything but a big cruiser. So it's incredibly comfortable. Even the wind noise, you can barely hear the wind noise. And in comparison to the Porsche, it's just night and day. Now, the owner, Marc, the owner had purchased this a few years ago at the sort of the top end of the market value at around £27,000. He purchased it about 2022, and looking at the market now for a similar spec model, this model having obviously the individual paint job, the AC Schnitzer wheels, just shy of 69,000 miles, it is an incredibly well kept version of this car. It is absolutely pristine and has been very well cared for over the years. And Marc, when he was looking for one, wanted to make sure that he was getting one that had been well maintained, because these can be incredibly costly. The V12s and the V8s in these aren't the most reliable. They can be if well looked after, but anything of that sheer size and displacement, and bear in mind this car was a 90s flagship for BMW. You know, the type of people that were driving these were upper management, CEOs. The middle of the run manager certainly wasn't driving about in one of these. They'd be lucky if they had a 3 Series or a 5 Series. These were the pinnacle of what BMW were producing back in the 90s. And it just oozes class and style. It's a gentlemanly car. At no point does it encourage you to put the foot down, or does it goad you to go just a little bit faster. It's always like, yo, just chill. We'll get there eventually. If you want to go a little bit faster, I can maintain that, but I'm not going to push myself. I'm just going to take my time and we'll get there. The petrol gauge obviously comes down quite considerably. The brakes, despite the car being quite heavy, the brakes are better than expected. I kind of thought that the brakes were going to be worse off than what they are, but it has just been such an exquisite car to drive. It's been fantastic. I've loved every single minute of being on this car, and I've come off the motorway just now so that I can start heading back, and I wanted to give the car just a little bit of a B-road blast just to see what it's like on these B roads without pushing it too far. It's a big car. It's almost yacht size, so we don't want to be doing too much. Plus, it's a 5-speed automatic gearbox, rear wheel drive, near 300 brake horsepower. It's quite a nice sunny day. It's quite dry, but I still don't want to do anything that may tempt fate. There we go. Look at that. I'm actually going 20. So, if you've enjoyed today's little road trip, like the video and call shotgun by subscribing to the channel, and we'll make sure to put you in the passenger seat in the next car that we've got going. And considering I said in the Audi TT video that it was either going to be a BMW 8 Series or hopefully an Audi SQ5, watch this space and find out whether or not I do manage to get my hands on that Audi, because we've ticked the box with the 8 Series and it's been an absolute pleasure. So again, big shout out to Marc for letting me come out in his car. I have appreciated everything that you've done. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye guys.